you can't walk at all.
And you'll notice, like some people said the other day,
It's pretty.
the prevailing wind is in the west. We get winds out of the north, but they're not near as fierce, or the east. Southeast winds are not fierce either, but this is
down there, look.
There's cement and drops,
down there.
Drops into another level.
See it?
And it's got cement
down there.
pillars in there, and when the water hits in there, it just boils around and slows it.
No, I don't. Well, no. Where?
It's in between the cracks.
So
you know how this thing here slants down, and that goes by. It's on that side. After it. I can see it fine from right
I got the wind blowing in my face here. I can't see it.
Dad, there's water on that part of the grass.
It's not to do that. Of course, when we were here the other day, there's deer, and you notice the deer in the field over there.
There's one right over there.
We have McIntyre Ranch over here about 5 miles, including this land here. This was leased land. And on that, there's about 1,400 head of deer on the McIntyre Ranch, and 600 head of animals that are there all the time. It's just like a game preserve. They're protected, and they don't have to. They never let them hunt. So all the killing is roadkill, and we have a lot of that. My red pickup has picked up 2 of them now. And even with the deer whistlers on, they've got so used to them, they don't pay any attention because they know they're safe in there. So, well, as we walk on up, you'll see right in here. Or it could have been where the girls went for the, when the braves come to court them and that, you see, because it's away from the rest of them, you see. It would be really great to be able to just see this. But this country, there was no fences, nothing, and when Charles Oricard came to the Cardston area, see, they rode up through British Columbia to begin with, and that was in 1885. And they come out of the Crow's Nest Pass and come in, and where they were going to settle is over by Standoff. And there's a place there on the other side of the reservation. There's a Hutterite colony there. And so that's when in 85, him and 2 other fellows, so they went back to Utah, and when they come in 1887, by the party of 43 people, they were 4 days ride ahead of them. So they went to that area, and it was already taken. It had already, in have Lee Street. That's what it was named after. But Cardston was named after Charles Orr Card, whose wife would sign a card to Brigham Young's daughter. So that's why we have Cardston. Or a card, and Red Crow, the chief, got along so well is because they were both polygamists. Both of them had more than one wife, you see, so they could relate to each other, you see. But they were friends right at the time, and there's a lot of Indians today hate Red Crow because the militant Indians now hated Red Crow because he was a friend. And the thing of it is, you hear this story, well, if it hadn't been for Red Crow and the Blood Indians, the Mormons had starved to death. But it worked both ways. There was times when the Mormons, and they have ever since, have saved the Blood Indians. No. You're familiar with that, Darby. You have Teepee. And it'll draw without smoking. And I understand they all sat around the outside and the smoke went up. They got the heat, but nobody ever got smoke in their eyes unless there maybe was a downdraft or it was real still. See? But if there was any wind at all, it was clear and they could. And of course, you got to remember, in these days they didn't have canvas teepees.
Yeah,
in the days of these rings, they had buffalo hides or deer hides or whatever that was available at the time for the.
Yeah, they had a practical reason, though.
Yeah. Well, you'll find out as you go on the reserve out here, especially Indians, as a rule, native people do not plant trees. The trees would grow if they got them started. You know, they may have to water them until the first year, but they would grow. But there is very few Indian residences on the Blood Reserve that have trees around them.
That's they avoided trees,
that do
huh?
have trees, you'll notice a nice fence around, and you'll notice that they usually keep their homes and the other, like their barns and that, in good repair.
Is that because they avoided trees in their past, and it's just a...
Well, I don't know. And this is another thing. You'll notice that on the Milk River, all we have is white willows. There is no big trees per se on the Milk River, whereas on the St. Mary's, there is trees along it. But this Milk River is just a prairie, and so there is like chokecherry bushes, sarvisberry, and a few of the white willows like that, or the silver willows. But there is no, like I say, cottonwood trees or anything like that on the river here. So. A lot of rocks. I don't know whether it's algae or what, but there's some of the most beautiful designs on some of those rocks that is whatever that is that grows there. That like it. You can see the fire pit is still there, see? Could be. It's a lot of people would like to know. What is funny though, we bring the Blood Indians here, and a lot of them have never even heard of teepee ring, and they don't understand them. But there is some of the older ones that know what teepee rings are, because in their, in their culture and their legends. But like I say, this is one of the bigger ones here, Dave. It's about, these are 8 steps across, and of course, not all of them can you see, but see how that's, it's definitely the fire pit in the middle, so.
we often,
this is a 19-footer, possibly 20-foot teepee.
yeah, we often think of them being in cramped quarters, but that's quite roomy, isn't it?
It's big. We have our teepee had a 22-footer. We have an 18-footer now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is probably.
So that's pretty close to this, huh?
And there's a lot of room.
And it's 125 years.
This has been really a nice site. Now, we had a big rendezvous over at Great Cliff, Montana. Big timber. And we came in and we set our teepees up. We didn't set on top. We set right next to it. All the original campsites. And they took pictures. It was quite interesting read.
Well, you know, as I was in that, like I said, July was when they did this pageant. They phoned me and wanted me to do it. And I said, there's no way. I said, that's when I make my money, in the summertime. I cannot do the pageant. So a couple of weeks went by, and so this Friday night, Joanne Petrie, who is the wife to the director that did of the documentary, he directs most of these productions for the Cardston Community Theater. She said, well, Dean, she said, we're not casting anybody. She said, we just want to read through it. We need a bunch of people. So we went in the Relief Society room in the West State Center, and any man that don't have parts, and I kept putting up my hand, and they put them go to everybody. And finally, this lady never said a thing. She just walked over and handed me this great folder, and I turned it up, and it said Teepee. And here, you know, I had read about it, and so my part of it wasn't until page 51 in the script. And the fellow that wrote it is a member of the church, and he researched for 4 years to write this the pageant, and he wrote it 6 times. Before the 6th time is when they accepted it, the historians and the church, of what all the things he had in and what he did. And so, but anyway, as I do in all of these productions, when I got to that part there, my first line was, Mr. Jones, come and sit down. I want to tell you something. Right into character. And I did that all the way through for all of my lines. And I gave the very same thing, only I've added some to this because that was back then, and that's why I said I come from that place of many spirits. And so that people know this person is passed on. That's what it portrays. And so anyway, as I gave it, and when we got done, and Aiden Jones was the fella, and I told him how that when I had people read this book, made, you know, sound like sweet music in my heart. And I looked around that room, it was almost the end of what we was doing, and there wasn't a dry eye in that place. It's just because of the story, and the reason it wasn't because it was Dean Berezay, but when you're telling the truth, and a true story, that's what touches me. Yep. And, about 3 weeks ago, I've had a lot of native people drive down my driveway since we've been in the branch and been missionaries for the last year and a half. But 3 weeks ago, this Dodge pickup drove down the driveway, and I was putting oil in the Bobcat. And he got out, an older man, and he kind of looked around and he walked over towards me. He said, I think we might be lost. And I said, oh, he says, when I was a young man in 1940, I worked on driving for Sam West. I said, that's his house right over there. I thought so. And I said, God, his wife lived here. Yes, they were old people. Just what he said, just like that. And so as we talked, he said, and I told him about, Jim Takes a Gun one fall was thrashing on the ground place with me. And Hermie Sommerfeld was driving a big blue team that had been bought from the Hutterites. And where that dump is down there, well, if you go back by Cardston, or up there anytime, you'll notice in the farm field there was quite a dip there. And he was in there, and this team balked. And so this big Jim, I was 6'2", and he was about 6'4", 5". And a big, even when he died, he was always had on a tough rag and gloves he always kept himself immaculate. And he died at 93 here just last year. But anyway, he walked over there and took those lines and spoke to him in German, and them horses picked up their ears and right up on top of the hill with a half a load of bundles on it. See? And old Hermie is of German descent, you see, these Sommerfelds. And his face, I could just see it getting red. He says, Big Jim, he says, where'd you learn to talk German? Oh, he says, my mother was a Mennonite squaw. and they have a real sense of humor. But this man, and so I told him that. And by the time we talked for 5 or 10 minutes, his big son, Pat, Little Bear, got out. This was Ed Little Bear, and he come over there. He couldn't sit in the truck anymore because I knew some things about here, and we talked there, and he was telling me, and so anyway, as he got out, and I was telling him about this Big Jim, he said, do you know, he says, I'm a religious leader. And here, his coat was open, and he had a cross there, and it had one of them blue, what is those blue stones?
Sapphires?
Turquoise. In the middle of it. He says, I'm a religious leader, he said, in our reserve. And he said, I'm very afraid in here of what has happened. He says, in 1979, I went to Oka. And he says, they told me, and he took a hold of my hand, he says, they told me, we got to get together with all the people in Canada and work together in Fredericton. And he says, see what they did last summer. Well, we had a big uprising down there for 3 months. Stood off, they shot policemen, they barricaded bridges and everything else. And he says, now see what they did. He says, that's what scares me. But anyway, he says, do you know what squaw means in our language? And I says, no. He says, that means the female parts of a woman. So he said, we don't use squaw. And see, and so all the time that I've lived around Indians all my life, I've never knew that. But you see, when a white man goes with an Indian woman here, years ago when I was a kid, and even now, he's a squaw man, see. And, but they don't like it, you see. They don't like that.
That was one of the reasons they didn't like it.
Yes, right.
It started themselves.
Yes, right.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know it. They don't know.
But he came to the temple on the VIP night, and as he come by, I didn't. We weren't the host for them, but I went over and shook his hand, and I said, I've changed my identity. And he just smiled. And he said, yeah. And he grinned, you know. And they went through, and I talked to him afterwards, and they were so impressed because you see, with this temple up here, the people, especially the natives and the non-members, have an idea that there's a bunch of funny secret things goes on in there, okay? And then the people that are members that have become inactive and are bitter, they're even worse because they tell, oh, they got all this gold and they got all this. Well, in that temple, there's 180 pounds of gold, and there is whatever's in the celestial room and in the painting. But the 180 pounds of gold is in the granite in the building, you see? It's right naturally in the granite. And if you tore the building down and smelted it out, you wouldn't even be able to pay for the expense, you see. But because there's gold in that temple, people, they hear that story, well, they got like blocks like in Fort Knox, you see. Yeah, they see, this is what they think, and this is not the case. And so when they started renovating this temple, they used recommend holders inside and non-recommend holders outside and non-members, because they weren't going to rededicate. I said, our spirit came and united with that body. And he stood there. And then I says, after we live our life here, we die. And I says, then we go to the spirit world and we wait there. And then the next thing was resurrection, and then it showed eternal life. And so I said, you've just come out of the temple. And I said, you've seen the baptismal font. And I said, you've seen the different rooms in there where these things, where it's the gospel explained to you. I said, okay. I said, when we go in there, I said, men are baptized for men. I said, women are baptized for women. And there was a lady there. She said, you mean I couldn't be baptized for my grandfather? I said, no, you couldn't. But I said, your husband or somebody could. And I said, you're baptizing by proxy. Because I said, you should go back to your great-great-great-great-grandfather, maybe never even heard of Christ, and he hasn't got the opportunity to accept the gospel. So I said, do you know the scriptures where it said that Christ's body laid in the tomb for 3 days, and he went to the spirit world and preached to the spirits who were disappearing in the world while the ark was preparing? I said,
What you got?
Yellow face.
And then I said,
Big
according
cheek yellow face.
then I said, like our marriages and our seasons, I said, our families could be together. One faith. I said, and then I said, you go to eternal life. This man walked away from me and went around the corner and the gold place and the scroll. You see, in Ezekiel 37:15 through 20, it tells you, take one stick and write upon it. Judah is the man. Take you one stick and write upon it. Joseph is the man. Put them together, they'll become one in your hand. Well, the Bible is or Judah, which was Jacob's son. He had all sons. Joseph was sold into Egypt. He is these Indians that are here, native people, anywhere in America, the Samoan Islands, anybody that's a native person like that, South American or descendant of Joseph that was sold into Egypt. And so the Book of Mormon is their history. And so there is two testimonies, as it says in the Old Testament, in the mouths of two witnesses, like that in the Bible. And them are the two witnesses we have. And so he went on, and when I left there, an hour and a half later, he was still there. And so, I mean, you know, while I'm there, I'm not there trying to convert somebody, but I'm trying to dispel this idea that we don't believe in the Savior and we've got a funny faith. And when you tell them, this one girl that was that, and she came up after I got back on me, and she said, would you tell me what you just, some of the things you just told me? And so, anyway, I told her about how in Ezekiel, and then I said, you turn to the 29th chapter of 2 Nephi, and I said, it'll tell you, a Bible, we have a Bible, we need no more Bible. But you go on and read that chapter, it tells how that the words of Judah will be heard by the Nephites, and the words of the Nephites will be heard by the people of Judah, and they will be a testimony from two nations. And of course, we've got 10 lost tribes come in the last days. The other 10 sons from Jacob will come out of the north, and they'll have a record written just like the Book of Mormon, and there'll be 12 witnesses that Jesus Christ is the word. And she said, you know, one time one of my roommates gave me a Book of Mormon. She said, I've never told you. But she said, I'm going home tonight and get it out. And well, you know, no, that's right. That's right.
Listen to me sing What Makes a Red Man Red.
No,
What are
Papa!
Anita,
What?
is that a mommy-made coat there?
They used this.
I made it.
You made it? That's pretty.
They was not
It's just like it was here once. You know, she fits right in.
early days. They
What?
Any buffalo up there. to
Well,
speak
you
of,
know
and they
about
produced
Anita's
it.
business.
Yeah, yeah.
What's
We're
the
gonna.
song?
I haven't been there. We'll have to stop in and see it.
Well, was the one. And so, there was a guy here. What a homestead was that? My dad homesteaded in about, I guess, 13 or 14 up here where we were raised. But the government gave you 160 acres for $10. You had to build some kind of a home on it, even if it was just a shack, but a place where you could stay. Well, Dave would like to get a picture of that tomahawk. We've got that to be home.
Mom's on foot.
What'd you do? What?
Well, what is the time doing to us?
I was telling Anita about a fundraising project they had in Kalispell. Took like a 3-acre pasture, something like that, and divided it into squares. Then they sold the squares, and then turned a cow loose for I think 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours. And wherever the cow dropped a pie, they'd win a prize. Whoever square she went in, and 3 people got a prize before the cow was taken out. I guess they made pretty good chunk of money from it.
Well, I guess
Yeah. Well,
Did you change bands? Or is this the same one?
Same one.
What? You are cute, that's for sure.
But here, somebody good boy. I got you. Volcano, see?
No. Yes, it is.
Good to see you. Uh-oh. You got the man from ABC behind you? Yeah.
You bet.
That's who I got. This
Tell them the reunion.
grandchild number 2. Yep.
Where is she? Oh, yes, she is.
Indeed.
Sorry.
Well, hello there, buddy. Good, how are you? Pretty good. Yeah, we're stacking them in here now. You got some foreigners. 1, 2 foreigners. Come on in, foreigners.
Yeah, just a few.
So you staying around tonight?
No, we're leaving right away.
Home as much as possible.
You have to look at this though, because it's a perfect picture of a family. This is why I made it. This one here is boobing it, Dad. This one here is mad as fetch because he has to pose Brennan in a wagon. Toothache here. Mom's holding 2 of them. One of them's being bugged and she's just chewing on Dad's butt. It's just the way it should be.
But you got that all on
We're gonna get the tires later.
Here I am, my messy house. Don't put this on your
realize
video.
he was doing it.
How's Kathy?
He knows I'm not photogenic. I'd be better if you shut that off. I really would.
I want to show you something. Well, great, Kathy. Here's your newest. Great.
Oh, it isn't?
I drew the stencil out from one of my books, and then I used graph paper. Anybody with a brain that paints knows you use graph paper. Right.
So you live in it?
Yeah. But yeah, I get lots of comments on because mine is different than anyone
You
else's.
can make me a shelf like that one of these days too. I love it.
Hey, this is funny. We did like 800 of these in our Early Day Society homemaking, like every woman got 2 kind of deal. And I was teaching a class, so I didn't have time to do mine that night. And the next month I was also teaching a class on painting. They asked me to come and bring some bunch of stuff to paint. And I had this shelf there, and all those women, wow, I like this shelf. Where'd you get this shelf? I said, we all painted one last month in homemaking. It's not this shelf, not this shelf. But they just stained them, that's all they did with them, nothing more. Well, or stained or painted them. They had some real security stuff paints.
His top.
That's what I did with
That just turned out
mine.
really
They did them, they
nice.
kind of, they're really rough on the interior, so I darkened
But
them.
I like those because you don't see the ones that have the corner, you know, that have the actual corner that fits in the
It
corner like
actually
that.
sits, usually it's like,
Oop, just a minute.
Come see Dad.
Ferdinand, I didn't know it. I thought I pushed
Gotta
the
get
pause.
it in post so you can get it running
Oh, yeah.
start here. Come here, sis. Come see Dad. Come on. Come here. Come here, sis. There you go. Come here. Come here.
Look at her go.
Come here. Oh, is that Mark gonna get you?
how old is she? Oh yeah, see that's why we're married, because we always accuse our husband of marriage. Oh yeah, she's a little snot. From what Dad says, she's really
Well, Kelly's like, she doesn't get that from my side. Deb just rolls.
Hey, Dallas, let him have the ball so he can throw it to me.
Oh, please.
Kelly goes, yeah, girls, I'm not going to. My turn. Get it for me. My turn.
Throw it at this.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It is. My turn.
Hey, Jason. Throw it at this hand over here. Whoa.
My turn.
Oh, let me throw it to him, Dallas. Just a minute. You ready, Jason?
There's Lindsay at 1, not a bit of hair.
I'm just going to get fast.
You ready?
When she's 2.
My turn. My turn.
You too?
Yeah. He's two, dude. My turn. Woo! My turn.
See, look at Ben.
Your turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
My turn. My turn.
And Dallas, right? Whoa.
My turn.
Okay, pick it up.
My turn.
Pick it up. Go get it.
Hey, here. Okay. That's my brother's. Here, I'll show you. Hold this. Okay. Put it on like, I'll show you. Okay. I'll show you. You put it like this, and you catch it, then you hold it, okay? It was, okay, I'll get it.
You gonna throw to him?
Come here.
Go over there by your dad, Dallas, so I can get you both.
Come here, Dallas.
Right there, right there. Okay, Jason, you stand over there
Okay.
and throw it to Dallas.
Right.
Jason, throw it to Dallas.
I thought it won't hurt you.
Yours have been little because you haven't.
Okay, Jason, throw. Catch, Dallas. Whoa.
Good job.
I can get the thing off.
Oh, I don't know. Come here just a minute. I'll show you
You left on the counter.
Thank you, Grandma.
I tried to catch you. All of a sudden I seen it and I go tearing out and
Oh, you saw it
Dad
was
wouldn't pay no
dust.
attention. I was going like this and I couldn't get in Dean's truck right I followed you.
Well, and we stopped just a few because there's a family of badgers, and we were stopped there for like 10 minutes.
See if I could have gotten that
Just
truck.
barely
On top of the hill?
Yeah, we've seen about, what, 6 badgers there? Or 4?
Or Dad went out and got it on video.
All 4 are little ones.
Well, they were little ones, but they were big little ones.
Hey, we appreciate that.
Anyway, something happened to the handle of my door and you can't open it, so you gotta, if the window isn't down, you gotta get in on the off driver's side.
On the car?
My truck.
He fell on us. And gave a little back. Oh, but you're taking that.
What's the difference in age? Brandon's what, 6 months?
You didn't hug him.
9 months. They're about a month.
You haven't even got it. Goodbye.
She's August 1st. She'll be a year old August 1st.
Where's your
She's not that much bigger than he is.
That's my sauce. Whenever I can pay you.
Come get the ball. Come get the ball. Come here. Sissy.
You're looking at my chips and dance for a while.
How old are you? 7?
7. Throw me the ball.
Oh, you're getting old.
Our toothless wonder.
What grade you in? First grade this year? Or you just get out of first grade?
Are you gonna say hi to me?
Say hello.
So you go into first grade this fall, huh?
No.
You just got out. You go into second grade this fall. And Spencer goes into first. So there ain't much difference between you and Spencer. Right, Spencer?
There's that ball. There it is.
He's just a little bit older than you, 1 year.
He's 7.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You waved to me when I got to the door. 5 and he's 7.
And when's your birthday? Huh?
It's not 2 years. His birthday's
Yeah.
Where's my glove?
What's he doing? Trying to pay you? Well, if physical abuse was legal, she'd be slapping you or something.
Hey, listen, I haven't had no kisses from you today or yesterday. I'm just noticing her. I just noticed
It
her.
has been all this week.
Sounds right.
Come here, Sissy. Come here. Come here. Brianna, come here. Come throw Dad the ball. Come here. Throw it. Throw it. Come here. Come on. Hey, oh, go this way. Come this way. Oh, oh. Come here. Come here.
And the CD inside, what a pit.
Ha 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 ha.
I've always liked the Taylor boy.
You know what he said this
But
morning?
he has,
Yeah, it changed.
he has, huh?
His attitude, your attitude's even
I
higher
mean,
now.
Dr. Taylor, you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
And
Oh, and he talked that
since, you know, I've always liked him, and I went to him the last 2 times for medication, you know. I'll save you life. He said, we'll see if we can save you life.
Oh,
Did he take me in there? Yeah. Yeah. I had
they've been
that.
pretty entertaining considering they've been there so much, haven't they? Oh, Webb said to
Yeah,
us
he
this
said-
morning, he says, they had so many volunteers. The church was right packed this morning, more than any time.
Yeah.
It was right packed. And he says, well, he says, judging by the crowd, he says, maybe some of you need to stand in line for a while. He's just funny. Thank you for
And
that.
everything that I've heard him say since that night at the meeting in the steakhouse.
It's just been impressive. hasn't it?
Was it a big day, Kathy?
Oh, get out of here.
Yesterday?
Look at this, he's still
Today.
here.
You been there today?
Yeah, we've been there since
Did
6:30.
it look like a big day, or?
After 7. Well, they'll probably hit 15,000 today, but the crowd is not near as big up there this afternoon as it was last week.
Yeah, but we opened.
Because last week we opened at 10 o'clock, see?
Last week was just,
Oh,
See, they were
14,000 last
They
week.
didn't know
Oh, I
until 10
see.
last week.
Yeah, and see, they were paying $1,200 an hour.
And we
too,
opened at
last Saturday.
7:30.
oh.
they opened at about 9:30 last Saturday, or 8, no.
9:30.
No, we
9 or
came,
9:30.
we came out from parking, or from our meeting, from the devotional, at 25 after 9 and went over there, and they started it. It was about 10 to 10, or something like that.
Yeah.
And boy, they had him. And this old Ken
My kitchen's a big
McKilpatrick,
place.
McKilpatrick is his name, from
You
Calgary.
can just see her.
He was working with me, and he said, Dean, where are they coming from? Every time that we'd get a lull and you walk all that, Dean, where are they coming
I
from?
haven't seen him.
Spencer?
No, I haven't seen Spencer.
Yeah, he didn't even got drink just a second.
Well, they're putting them through at about 1,000 an hour, starting this morning at 10 after 7, so.
Yeah.
So they started earlier this morning than they ever have.
So how many do you figure will be gone? Probably go through there all together.
Over 100,000.
But you know what? You know what President Levitt told us the other night, which really stung Larry and I. The Toronto Temple Open House was open for 3 full weeks. They put through 60,000 people. So that's why they told us, well, you know, you'd be shooting high if you say 60,000. And he said, when we've been phoning the numbers to Salt Lake, they're just shaking their heads. What's going on?
They're almost accusing them of telling stories.
Yeah, like they
Well,
they don't believe how it's going.
If we don't
best
go,
keep going.
folks, we'll be being accused of being late to a wedding.
We probably won't be here when you come back, right? Unless you come before 9.
Well, we'll do that. Hey, Larry.
What do you mean by the spirit?
Oh, Larry, get in here. Get in here. Do it again. I'll listen to Spencer. You see her.
Hello, my Lord.
Do you have the rest? Where's the bar?
Hi, I'm Silver. What's your name?
Oh, Spence, you are good.
Did I do that?
You gotta do the laugh, just laugh. And then
Would you like that?
Read the scriptures where save your life.
That was funny, Carl.
You went to the
They'll put him away for later.
I'm sure you're right.
That'll make it really neat for winter time. And
Yes, it's still to your left. Yes, just inside the gates. Yes, go right in. You go out there and park the people in there and take a picture. Sure, go in, guys. Come ahead. By the time you get your rug protector, just turn to your left and follow the group over there. Alright, just stay there. Yeah, there left, guys. Just over to your left, magic.
David, Christy.
Yep, just turn left. You have to get a token. Pardon.